This episode goes out to our patron, Eric Gross. From being a dungeon master to supporting the books on Patreon, you've always been the best. Hi there, Garrett Robinson here. Welcome to the 26th episode of the Nightblade Epic Podcast Season 3. Well, listener, we're almost done with Season 3 of this show. There are only 3 more episodes after this one. Then we'll take our customary 6-week break, during which time we do have a very special bonus episode for all of you out there. Since we've only got a limited time left this season, I just want to remind you about the next Underrealm book, Tales of the Wanderer Volume 1. This gorgeous 3-book volume comes out on March 12th, 2021. It contains the first 3 novels in the Tales of the Wanderer series. It's also the largest Underrealm book ever at 978 pages. If you haven't already pre-ordered your copy, it would mean the world to us. Pre-orders are so helpful as we get ready for the book's release. And if you pre-order a hardcover in the United States, it'll even come to you signed. Pre-order your copy today at underrealm.net/wander. That's underrealm.net/wander. Okay, now it's time for today's episode. Today, you're getting Chapter 35 of Darkfire. When we left off, Lauren had just given Zane another Mage Stone in a desperate hope that he would turn his magic on the enemy, and not his friends. Enjoy! Darkfire, Chapter 35. Lauren swung on to midnight while Albern mounted his bay. She snatched the reins of Jordel's charger, which Zane had ridden from the Shade Stronghold. But then she saw Annis climbing atop the plow horse. "Annis, you should remain here," said Lauren. "We are in for a fight, and even if Zane can defeat our enemies, still it will not be safe." "I am coming," said Annis. "My mother awaits, and I have spent too long running from her. She will never give up her hunt until I make her." "She will not give up even then," said Lauren. "She knows you do not wish to return. Telling her again will not change her mind." "I did not say I would tell her to leave me alone. I said I will make her," said Annis, shaking with rage. "She meant to bargain with those shades in order to find me. Killers, serving a dark and secret lord. I shall never be free unless I stop her." "What will you do?" said Lauren. "Kill her yourself? How then will you be better than her?" Annis stopped, her fists shaking as they held her reins. "I do not know, but let her see me riding at your side. Let her see that I myself have chosen where I stand, and it is with you. Still, she thinks of me only as her daughter. Let her see me across a battle line as her enemy. Then mayhap she will think twice before trying to bring me back." Lauren looked at Albern helplessly, but the bowyer only shrugged. "I would be unwise to give you counsel. You know far more of this tale than I do." "The longer we wait, the greater the danger to Jordel and Jem," said Zane harshly. "Let her come, if she wishes it. Unless you want to tie her up and leave her helpless here, where she might be found by some passing wolf, or more satyrs lying in wait." "Very well," said Lauren, kicking her heels into Midnight's flanks in frustration. "But if you get yourself killed, I will find you in another life and box your ears for your stupidity." They led the horses back to the road and then spurred them to a gallop up it. Hoofbeats warred with the howl of wind and rain. Often Lauren looked over at Zane, still not entirely sure her choice had been wise, but at least he rode alongside them now. If he could save Jordel and Jem, even if he used his magic to escape afterwards, then it would be worth it. They soon passed the crumbled outer gate, but a moment later they pulled their horses to a halt. Darklight blazed in Zane's eyes, and Albern nocked an arrow. On the road before them was an army, Yeren soldiers, all bedecked in green, every man wearing a helmet and a shirt of chain. They bore spears and swords and marched in formation, and as soon as they saw the party, they drew up behind their shields. At the rear of the column were some on horseback, and Lauren saw Damaris there, with Gregor on a great steed beside her. The merchant saw Annis, and her eyes widened in relief before she turned on Lauren with white-hot fury. "So, thief," said Damaris, "you return to my open arms. Have you come to fling yourself at my feet and beg for mercy? You have a convincing tongue. Mayhap you will even earn it." "I have never needed your mercy before, and I will not ask it now," said Lauren. "Order your people to stand aside. Our quarrel is not with you." "You and I shall always have quarrel," said Damaris. "So many times I could have ended your life, but always I stayed my hand. I thought I saw the seed of something useful in you. I thought to shape you into wisdom and skill. I was a fool for it. I should have slit your throat in that jail cell, you puppet of mystics." "I am no one's puppet," said Lauren. "I stand for myself and for my friends. Mayhap you could have killed me once upon a time, but that chance is long gone. Stand aside. I will not ask you again." Damaris ignored her, turning to Annis. "Daughter, come back to me. You ride with fools. They stand against foes they cannot hope to comprehend. They will be ground to dust under the boots of their enemy. Save yourself from that fate." "And resign myself to a worse one?" said Annis. "No, mother, I will not come back to you now. I have longed to escape you since I was only a little girl." "You are a little girl still." The merchant's eyes darkened. "You prove it over and over again, like a bard who knows only one song. Tell me, Annis, how rich has been your life since joining Lauren's company? How flea-ridden the beds, how meager your meals. I see scars upon you that were not there before, and you dress in the rags of a pauper. Oh, but you are wise to choose such a path, surely. Any child in the 9 lands would kill their own sibling for the wealth and plenty I gave you." "Because they would not know the cost," said Annis, shaking. Though tears leaked from her eyes to mingle with the raindrops on her cheeks, still she sat tall and proud in her saddle, looking at Damaris with barely contained anger. "When I was barely old enough to walk, you made me give a man a goblet of poisoned wine, and then forced me to watch as it choked the life from him. You sat me down to watch as your dungeon keepers flayed their victims to death, all for a morsel of information that would let you earn another 100 gold weights." "How terrible for you," said Damaris, face twisting in mock pity. "To see so many terrible things, and then turn around and enjoy all the coin my actions provided us." "We never lacked for coin in the first place," cried Annis. "And one day I came to see the truth. Of all the evils you have committed, none were for wealth. You enjoy it. You love to cause pain and grief and misery. You drink it in and cannot stop, like a woman who is always searching for another wineskin. And you hoped to make me like you, because then you would not be so alone in your misery. For you are miserable, mother, a miserable woman whose only pale shade of joy is found in the hurting of others. But you are also alone, for I shall never be like you." Damaris's hands tightened on her reins, the dark skin of her knuckles paler for a moment. "Take her and the girl," she said. "Kill the others." Gregor bellowed the advance, and the Yeren soldiers pressed forwards. Alburn raised his bow and drew, but then the black light in Zane's eyes blazed, and he put forth his hand. A gale sprang from nowhere to blast the soldiers, casting them off to either side of the road. Then great wells of fire bloomed around them, encircling them in fences of flame. The soldiers cried out in terror and fell back, pressing into each other in tight knots, trying to keep their limbs from burning. The 10 on horses at the rear had not advanced, and were as yet unharmed. With a battle cry, Gregor drew his sword, and he and 5 soldiers spurred their mounts. "Stop!" cried Damaris. Gregor yanked on his reins at once, and his riders did the same. Their horses slid to a stop in the mud, and Gregor looked back at his lady. "Mage stones," said Damaris, looking at Zane with seething fury. "You use my own strength against me. Very well, Lauren of the family Nelda. It seems I cannot contest you. Not today, at least." "My lady," said Gregor. "No," she snapped. "It is done. I will not lose you in a fight you cannot hope to win. Get off the road and let them pass." Gregor fixed Lauren with a long, ugly look as his men led their horses off the road and towards the others, who were still surrounded by Zane's fires. Only when they had removed themselves did he turn his steed and ride back to Damaris. Then they left the road together, clearing the way for Lauren and the others. Slowly, half expecting a trick, Lauren led Midnight forwards. The other horses fell in behind. She felt prickles on the back of her neck under the eyes of the Yeren soldiers, but no one moved so much as a muscle, until they had nearly passed the soldiers by. One footman, probably hoping to earn the favor of his lady, drew and loosed an arrow that sped through the air towards Zane, but the wizard caught the shaft in a fist of air, flinging it aside where it buried itself in the dirt. With a flick of Zane's wrist, the archer flew screaming into the air. Then the dark glow of Zane's eyes increased, and with a clench of his fist, the Yeren soldier erupted in dark fire. "No!" cried Lauren, but it was too late. The man was past saving. His screams were hideous, and Lauren shuddered. Zane glanced at her, and the anger fell from his face. His fist opened, and the dark fire guttered out. The soldier fell limp to the ground. Gregor and his horsemen reached for their blades, but Damaris cried out again, "Stop!" She looked in disgust at the fallen archer, whose body lay smoking near his comrades. "I told you, it is pointless. The fool deserved his fate. Stay your hand unless you wish the same." Lauren and the rest now stood on the other side of the Yeren guards. She turned Midnight one last time, fixing Damaris with a steely look. "Do not come after us. You know Zane's might. He will not hesitate to unleash it upon you." Damaris snorted. "Save me your threats. They are for fools who do not know their enemy's strength. I know yours all too well, for it came from me. Everything you have came from me, Nightblade." She spat the word like a curse. Then she looked to her daughter one last time, her eyes softening. "Annis, I know you have been led astray. I know you think this girl is your friend. She is not. One such as you and I, we have no friends. There is only family. One day you will remember it, and when you do, come home. We can never forget, but I will forgive. Always remember, Annis, I need you." With that, she turned her horse and led it down the mountain road. Zane let his flames subside, and the Yeren guards, though cautious at first, soon fell in to march behind their lady. Gregor stayed the longest, his ugly look fixed on Lauren, but then he, too, turned to follow. Soon they had all vanished into the rain clouds. This has been a production of Legacy Books, written and narrated by Garrett Robinson. The music in this podcast was created by Will Musser. Check out his incredible work at willmusser.com. That's WILLMUSSER.com. Today's letter is R. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.